Alrighty, hello everyone. RTK taking on Fancy Lads in the lower bracket round 3. This to advance on to the losers bracket final, and then from there moving up into the regular bracket and into the normal finals and having a chance at that insanely large prize pool. And again, I've been joined by my lovely friend DK. Say hello to everybody who will be watching this.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm glad I get to catch the tournament, some of the games at least.
Yep.
It has been really interesting so far, and here we go to the next game.
Here we go. So we're heading on in, and we've got the draft opened up before us. And Fancy Lads going to be having the first pick of this tournament, as they have won the coin toss, and they decide to dedicate their first bans towards Tidehunter and Doom, two very powerful heroes in terms of shutting down the opponents and providing a lot of sustain during fights in terms of limiting what the enemy team can do. So it looks like they're going to be going hard at it with their draft in this scenario.
Yeah, they started banning two offlaners. Well, Doom is probably because they are afraid not to get their core taken off. And Tidehunter, obviously the big ult, the stun. Lads are starting with single target focus with Vengeful Spirit. They just want to make sure their carry is safe, probably, or any of their core.
Yeah, Vengeful Spirit's one of those heroes, man. I think is a really solid support. She can do so many things. She's got a brilliant ultimate that goes through magic immunity. She's got a Vengeance Aura that helps in terms of pushing. She's got armor reduction, and of course with that wonderful medallion that's normally picked up on Vengeful Spirit, it opens up the pathway to Roshan, and she's got a really nice reliable stun. So she can do a lot of things. She can roam around, but at the same time she can protect a carry, and also provide some means of counter aggression if she needs to. And actually, Windrun are going to be the second ban from Release the Kraken. What do you think their insight is towards this second ban?
They're probably afraid to get focused off on one specific target, or one which is probably gonna be squishy, or they just probably weren't sure what else they should ban for what they're planning to pick.
That very well could be the case. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're picking up a hero that has a lot of extra units with it, and maybe afraid of shackles in fights really being annoying. And of course, if they're going for heroes that can push as well, Power Shot, can take down creep waves very fast, can take down treants, can take down almost any type of unit fairly quickly with its insane damage. And already the pushing kind of style's already coming out for Fancy Lads. So they pick up the Death Prophet. They've got the Vengeful Spirit. They've got a lot of ways that they can take down towers already.
Well, they got a Death Prophet on the previous game too, and it worked out pretty well for them. They got the game in like 27 minutes, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it was around that time.
It was against the Void as well.
And a Lion, I believe. Was the Lion was in there as well? Or did Fancy Lads actually pick it up? I can't fully remember, but I remember seeing a Lion somewhere. And trust me, I'm not lying.
Well, they are actually, Fancy Lads are expecting the enemy to pick a troll just so Void can bash them, even out of the chrono.
Yeah, Troll's one of those heroes I think is very powerful at the moment. He, even in a one position role, and even in the mid position role, he can provide so much. He can take down towers very quickly, and he can hit extremely hard during Faceless Void's ultimate. He scales really well into the late game, and in combination with Faceless Void as well. And if you pick up another right clicker, but Viper's already been banned out, maybe even an OD of sorts, your damage per second becomes increased insanely good. But that predicates on Faceless Void getting a nice ultimate off. But if they do, with that troll pickup, Fancy Lads could easily lose 2 or 3 heroes before the chrono actually ends.
Well, I think the Viper ban was actually dedicated to keeping the Death Prophet alive, because he can just slow her down really quick, and that makes space for the enemy to come and kill her fast.
And oh man, look at Magnus, third pick Magnus.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that in a long while. They picked him up quite early, but the problem is, this could have been expected to happen. I mean, Viper was taken out, Troll was taken out, Razor is still in the pool though, so the Magnus pick can still be punished in a way, but it seems like they already know that Death Prophet's going to be heading mid. So if Magnus takes a Magic Wand and a Stout Shield, he should be okay mid against Death Prophet in that matchup.
Well, both teams so far banned mostly single target heroes, besides the Tidehunter and the Omni Knight. And Release the Kraken actually went for an AoE, the Magnus, which is really good against the Dead Prophet, because everything that keeps her in place is gonna allow Void to kill her.
Mm. Yeah, that's true, man. And they've also got the Lion Earth Spike, and if a level 4 Empower was used on Faceless Void, if he gets a good RP off into a Chronosphere, and all 5 or 4 heroes or however many he catch are left in the Faceless Void ultimate with overpower on with Empower on top, should I say, he could hit extremely hard if he goes for the Mask of Madness build and with a couple of bashes. But then after that, as I said, yeah, you do have Lion Stun coming following up after that will hit everyone that's been caught in the RP, so they've definitely got a nice little combo lined up there. But the question is, will they execute it correctly? I don't think they have the lineup to set it up. It actually all relies on Fancy Lads being out of position at this stage.
Well, I would really like to see the Lion Aghanim Scepter this time, just because of the Chronosphere and the reverse polarity. It would mostly hit everyone and deal a ton of damage.
Insane amounts of damage, man. And the reply from Fancy Lads is the El Clasico Wraith King. It's kind of the theory that Wraith King can waste his ultimate in exchange for the ultimates of Release the Kraken. So they'll blow Chronosphere, they'll blow RP, they'll blow Mystic Flare and Finger of Death, but all to kill Wraith King on his first life, and then he comes back to life, and then the fight actually starts while all their ultimates are down. So it's fairly common to see Wraith King picked up in this kind of scenario, and it generally does work out, except for if they're in a losing game. So I'm excited to see how this actually goes.
I actually expect Release the Kraken to focus everyone else but the Wraith King, so they only have to deal with him afterwards.
Mm.
And they're probably gonna use the Scarlet Mage ult with the Void Chronosphere to take down Death Prophet really quick.
And again, they picked Faceless Void into the Vengeful Spirit, so... And they've actually got the Jakiro there on their latest pick, so they've got a lot of ways to stop this Faceless Void from dealing any damage during Chrono. You can swap them out, or you can Ice Path, or you can place that Macro Pyre on the top, and of course Death Prophet, if she'd popped her ultimate before the Chronosphere landed, Faceless Void's going to take a ton of damage that way. So I like the support picks at the moment. It kind of looks like an aggressive tri-lane at the moment with this Wraith King. We saw them run it last time, I believe. They ran, I think it was Fancy Lads who did it, the Wraith King, and a couple of stunner supports. And it worked out well, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was the Juggernaut that time.
Juggernaut that time. No,
Yeah.
I think they were against the Juggernaut, weren't they?
No, they were. Juggernaut was with the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh, okay.
Well, I expect the Void to buy a BKB as soon as possible, just so he doesn't get stunned into the Chrono or silenced before he uses it. And he's probably gonna have to use the Chrono on the Vengeful Spirit too, so he doesn't get swapped while he's kicking some asses there.
You're right, man. You're right, man. Now we're waiting on this last pick. 15 seconds left with some reserve time, I believe. What do you think they're going to be looking at for this last pick? They've got their two supports. They've got the what looks like will be a one-position Faceless Void and their mid Magnus. Now they just need an offlaner.
I'm seeing a clock there.
A clock? I kind of like that. It combos up really nicely with Skyrath Mage. You've got Magnus who can skewer him from the cogs to certain places, and you've got Lion with that stun that'll reach inside, and a really beautiful nuke to bring down any targets that they find. lurking by themselves. So Clock's definitely an option. Tide has been banned out. Same with Doom, so they can't really do the classic things. They actually banned Centaur themselves. So they're
Well,
wow.
they're going for an offlane void, I guess.
Yep, it looks like it, man. Or could be vice versa. I've seen Magnus in the off lane sometimes and Faceless Void in the mid lane. There's so many different ways to do this, but I don't think it'll become too complicated. So it looks like a defensive tri-lane of sorts with Faceless Void in the off lane to get what levels he can, and the Magnus taking on the Death Prophet in the mid. And this really, they have a really strong turtling lineup at the moment from what I can see. They don't have that many abilities to do so, but they actually do have Shockwave from Magnus. They've got the Earth Spike from Lion to slow down pushes. They've got a couple of Skywrath Mage nukes. They're not really AoE though, and if Anti-Mage does get that Battle Fury, he'll also be able to destroy creep waves and just waste time so that they can take the game late, and hopefully Anti-Mage can destroy the rest of them. And of course, Anti-Mage versus Wraith King. They could even stop Wraith King from being able to pop his ultimate, so it's a nice little counter pick, and it shows the kind of style that they want to go for with this lineup in terms of how late they want to take it, or how early.
Well, I really have to say I completely agree with the having the anti-mage go as a carry and the Void as an offlaner, because even if Void doesn't have any items, he can still use the Chronosphere just for the Skyrat Mage.
I think Faceless Void's one of those heroes that all he really needs in the early game to hit hard is points in his bash and a Mask of Madness. Like, he doesn't... If you're looking to fight early on, that's all he really needs. But if you're running him as a one position, you probably want to go for that further forward, Daedalus, all your insane damage items. But it's his...
Him to get,
Sorry, what was that?
I expect him to get an Aghanims.
Oh, that would be a great game for an Aghanims. Just being able to have it up and off cooldown for long periods of time would just be unbelievable for these guys. And do you want to use this pause to run through the lineups right now? You do Radiant, I'll do Dire.
I would do Radiant, but they're missing one player, so I'm gonna introduce the rest of the players. There's Midnight on the Skyrat, Kirito on Lion, Jimmy onto the Faceless Void, and Garkedor on the Magnus.
Very beautiful, and looking towards Fancy Lads, both teams trying to work their way back into the main bracket and into that finals. We have Johnny Hitler playing on what looks like the support Jakiro, Blackheart on the Vengeful Spirit, Nevdi handling that offlane Timbersaw. We've got Nargles on the one position Wraith King as it seems, and we've got stand-in .4 as the mid lane Death Prophet, and we're still waiting for the 5th pick right now.
Well, they might have some troubles right now. I'm not sure.
Do you think we'll see any aggression before the game starts, or do you think both teams will just settle into their lanes?
I see Fancy Lads going into the Radiant jungle and try to get the first blood because they have the full potential for that.
They've certainly got a strong early game with Lion and Skywrath Mage being able to spam out some nukes, and if you get a couple of good bashes as well, the RNG bashes, plus Magnus, who in a level 1 situation would probably want to level up Overpower over Shockwave, as Shockwave just does really low damage at level 1, whereas Overpower you can give it to almost your whole team before you actually clash, and that's like a bonus 20 damage or something around that area.
We have the 5th player, shout out Muha on as a stand-in as in the game for RTK as anti-mage. So looking at the draft so far, who do you prefer? Who do you think has the better chances?
Man, I think it all relies, on the laning phase at the moment, because Anti-Mage is a very fragile hero early on. He can't really contribute to team fights early on. He can't really do that much in that sense. So I think it's up to the supports, and just how they protect Anti-Mage from any trouble early on will determine how much farm he gets and just how much damage he'll do going into the mid game.
We might see a clash right here. The RTK are being pretty defensive. They don't want to provoke FL because they do have a lot more damage at the moment.
Yeah, I think they spotted each other and then they backed off, but it looks like stand-in 4 might get backstabbed right now. Faceless Void comes in. Jimmy, he actually leveled Time Walk level 1. So it's not really going to hit very hard early on. And it looks
Well,
like an
we're
aggressive
seeing...
tri lane already, the Wraith King. I know, is it aggressive dual lane and Blackheart's...
He's going back bot.
Yeah, he's heading back bot. So it's the aggressive tri lane up against the defensive tri lane. Skywrath Mage and Lion. Pretty good lane support. Skywrath Mage can counter aggress, if that's the correct word to use, if they get initiated upon. And they don't really have that much in terms of getting a kill on someone because they've all got single target stuns really, except for the Jakiro.
The Jakiro. The Skyrim Mage did get the slow first.
Oh, he got
you're
his
just
slow.
gonna sit and farm slowly. In the other lanes, I'm actually interested in looking at the Timber mid, which I think it was the right pick, as he has the Whirling Death and is fighting a strength hero, the Magnus. And so the Death Prophet can also keep away Void from farming his lane, a thing that he could have done against the Timber.
Okay, yeah, I like that very much. So Death Prophet's soloing the safe lane. Up against that Faceless Void. That means Faceless Void's actually going to get really fast levels and maybe even some solid farm. But I don't think he expected this either. He actually got the Poor Man's Shield and hasn't got a magic one to stack up the nukes from Death Prophet.
He should have got the stick at least, but as soon as Death Prophet is going to hit level 4 or 5 and she'll get the 3rd level on Crypt Swarm, she's gonna be able to keep Void away from any farm. But as there's an aggressive tri-lane against the defensive tri-lane, we might want to watch that and focus there.
And here we go, the slow's actually going to land on Blackheart. Is he going to drop for first blood? I think he will. Anti-Mage jumps further ahead.
I don't think they're gonna be able to get another kill without the stun or the slow.
But he's actually getting body blocked. The Earth Spike creates space. Beautiful stun from Nargles, but still Jakiro drops 2 down right now. And
a nice body block from Anti-Mage.
Oh, it was beautiful, but the trade-off is Midnight, who actually drops 2 for 1. That was still very worthwhile, losing your support Skywrath. For first blood on the hero, you do not want to get ahead. Muha, shout out to @SK on that insanely powerful Anti-Mage if he continues to snowball the way he does. And take a look at Magnus right now in mid. I believe he walked bottom and he got a regen rune. So that should help him out in the mid lane. Maybe he can spam out a couple of shockwaves and try get a bit of harass under this pesky Timbersaw, who has a bottle as well. So he's definitely going to be a hard unit to bring down. I think looking at this mid lane matchup, I think Timbersaw is going to have the advantage. I don't see Magnus getting a kill on him. Even if he skewers him on tower, there's the chance of just... Oh, actually, we're going to see it right now. He's actually tanking a lot from the tower. But he's bottling up.
Played by Magnus.
Wow.
That was really, really good.
That was really well done. I thought that maybe he could timber to one of these, maybe a tree up here, the one towards the Radiant Ancients, but...
Well, we're looking at another kill bot lane for Lion, but even though not Anti-Mage got the kill, they killed the enemy carry, which is a big win for them.
That was a very big win.
They have a greedy lineup, and they're a lot ahead of FL.
And this is the defensive tri-lane up against the aggressive. You got to be able to, when you run an aggressive tri-lane, you got to be sure that you can run it and win the lanes. But from the supports, maybe that they thought it would have been an aggressive tri-lane of their own, and the last pick Anti-Mage really caught them off guard in that sense. Let's just check out CS in the top lane right now. So we've got Faceless Void, who's sitting 9-2 up against Death Prophet, who's 13-6. So out CSing him in that part. And you can tell from the XP as well, they've both been in lane, but Death Prophet from getting that extra CS and those denies is actually leading in XP by a little bit, by almost half a level.
Well, we're looking at Magnus going again on the Timbersaw and maybe a potential kill. There's the shockwave which is gonna bring Timbersaw down. Not yet. He has the haste.
He could definitely have gone for that. He
could go for that. He had the haste run.
He used the chain as well, so there's no way he was going to escape. One hit from death, no bottle charges, I believe. That was definitely worth going for.
Safe. He's playing it safe.
But sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, as they say.
Yes. Well, I think that Prophet should be getting a bottle onto the top lane just so she can keep harassing Void over and over because apparently she has no mana right now.
Oh yeah, 115 only just has enough for to use that level 3 Crypt Swarm. And look at the build she's actually gone for. She's completely skipped silence. So it means Jimmy's going to have an easy time to escape. But actually, at the same time he won't, because if he gets harassed low enough, he may even just die to a single nuke.
Well, I suppose he didn't get the silence just because he needed to keep him out of the lane rather than kill him, because if he did point the silence, he had less damage in the creep swarm.
Oh yeah, that's true, and she's got Exorcism already, 5.5 minutes in. So a push could be incoming once she gets the mana for it, or even she could rotate to the mid. Nevdi, once he has his level 6, can defend towers okay, but not against Exorcism spirits.
Well, Anti-Mage went for an interesting build, strike the power threads without Ring of Health to stay in lane a bit more. Skyrim Mage has literally no items but 2 TPs.
That kind of surprises me, because the fact is that he's not really slow. The treads do provide him with some HP, but once he blinks away, he's got no way to regen his health, and he'll just have to go back to base. Whereas I thought when you get the Ring of Health, when he can escape these ganks, which most likely he will, because Lion and Sky will be there to stop any stun stacking, as they say, he could just pop out, regen, and come back in.
Well, I think that that item build is gonna cost him some farm, but he has no choice now because he's pretty far away from that Ring of Health.
Yeah, it's put him down, seeing it around 300. He's a little bit away, but he'll pick it up eventually. Maybe he'll even skip the Battle Fury this game and go for the what's it called? The Vlad's build. The single target anti-mage, as they call it.
Well, he would do that if they were leading probably, but he's gonna need to farm a lot.
And have they done any jungle stacking for him? So they've done one stack here over in the big camp, none over on the Wildcans. But then again, it's only 7 minutes in. They've got a lot more minutes to stack it, basically. A lot more opportunities before he gets that Battle Fury up.
Well, the Radiant are going down on the net worth. They're dropping just because the anti-mage can't stay in lane and farm anymore. Neither does the Void.
And so maybe they're getting vision of the jungle so that if he rotates to that area, they can immediately follow up on that. And actually, mid lane, sorry, Nevdi throws out a chakra and puts down Magnus to a quarter of his life, but ends up running away. And now he probably just spammed that out so he can go grab the next rune. And actually, at bottom rune, there may be an engagement. Blackheart and the two little supports saying hello. Blackheart actually has a haste rune if she wants to pick it up. Do you reckon he could make anything happen with this?
If the rest of the team comes, yes, but I don't think they can kill anti-mage anyway.
And he actually dodges the stun from Corrido. He's going to get that last right click, and now he's going to run away scot-free. Skywrath Mage has no mana.
That dodge allowed him to kill the lion. And yes, we do have a stack right now onto the medium camp in the jungle.
And Magnus has actually come down bottom, maybe looking to set something up. And meanwhile, behind the fight, we have Faceless Void with that Chronosphere as well.
Magnus has a blink dagger.
Mag's got a blink as well, so they're really trying to get things going nice and early.
I think they noticed, so he's just gonna push the towers because they can't do nothing about it right now.
Yep, Death Prophet's popped the Exorcism, trying to finish off that tower. The TP is going to be coming top from Skywrath Mage, whereas the other three are going to stay bot and hopefully get something going. But Mag's actually left. There was no reason for him to TP, he feels now, and now he's heading mid, and maybe wants to get a kill on Timbersaw with that Blink Skewer combo.
Well, Void went bot because he already hit level 7, and he's letting the supports get some, especially the Skyrat, so he can have his ult and kill with the Chronosphere.
And the tier 1 drops top wasn't denied by Skywrath Mage, so it's the full gold going the way of all the members of Fancy Lads. And maybe we'll still keep an eye on bot lane because it looks like some aggression's going to come out, but I'm going to try and sneak in a couple of stats if nothing happens. Looking at XP right now, in lead for Fancy Lads is just over 1k, and in gold as well, over 1k in advance for Team Net Worth. So they're starting to get a small but significant lead.
Anti-Mage's skill build is pretty interesting. He's playing it really safe.
And actually, Jimmy pops the chrono, gets it on Blackheart, trying to chow down on him. Midnight does get the nuke to finish him, and Corrido's taking away the mana of Nevdi. And Magnus takes down Void. Anti-Mage jumps in and blows up the Timbersaw. Lion took away all his mana. Magnus gets a beautiful skewer, only on one though. And they're trying to drain the mana of Nargles, but he does have that second life.
Just pointed his ult that is probably gonna allow him to survive. Skewer is on cooldown, he's not gonna get it off in time to kill him. But they're looking to get back in.
Yeah, Jakiro's walking in, misses the ice path unfortunately. Vengeful Spirit did throw out a wave of terror, but didn't actually make anything happen.
Besides the Death Prophet, who obviously won his lane and got some really nice farm, the mid lane and the bot lane went pretty unfortunate for the Fancy Lads.
Unfortunately, it did. And they're going to have to suffer the consequences. So it's 6-4 right now. RTK versus Fancy Lads. Both teams trying to get into the main grand final for the Hunt Tier 2.
Well, if that Prophet isn't gonna keep it up with the farm or just get some towers and help her team get some experience and money, they're gonna lose immediately.
Yeah, that's true, and if they don't shut down the anti-mage and slow down his farm, then of course that's the second problem that's going to come out. So both teams need to be wary of each other's strengths and weaknesses. Of course, the Death Prophet being the big strength of Fancy Lads right now. She's already got a Yule Scepter, and her ultimate's extremely powerful, but Nevdi may have come too far forward. The Skewer actually is going to miss, but the Hex still should secure this kill. Yules is going to land on the Midnight, and eventually Timbersaw drops, and maybe they want to keep going on 4. She turns around and nukes, and that beautiful magic wand saves Magnus.
No, he escaped with 2 hits. I think Timbersaw could just get his chain right up here onto the trees, but he just chose to stand and fight to death.
Well, he did get silenced up as well at the same time by that Skyath Mage, so that also made it a bit of a pickle for him to try and get out of. And Wraith King picks up the Blink Dagger now. Magnus goes for the Treads. So a bit of item progression coming out right now. Do you think that Fancy Lads are in a position to go for Blink Daggers and look to be aggressive at the moment?
Actually they are, because this is the early game, the time they should be doing the plays.
And while that's going on, Magnus does get an RP on 2, but does die to the Death Prophet ultimate. And Jimmy trying to take down Death Prophet, but her ultimate's just doing so much damage. 3 drop.
That Blink Dagger already paid off. If he didn't have it, he didn't kill Void.
Yeah, that's true, man, that's true. And they pick up 3 in the mid lane, and they get a tower. That should really help sustain a solid lead at this stage.
I also gotta say that if Magnus didn't stop for some reason right here, he could run away and not die from the Death Prophet ultimate.
That's true, he could have gotten away from those spirits, and Midnight maybe in a bit of trouble. 1 hit away from death. Nevdi tried to make some sort of play and will probably just chain out, and no more will come of that. But bottom lane,
Blink Dagger is really paying off.
Yep. It's really nice against the anti-mage. When he blinks away, you can say, oh, well, I'm following you as well, and blink to that exact same location and continue the battle. So they pick him up twice now. This is not looking good for the anti-mage. He got first blood, but now he's starting to sink back, and RTK is starting to fall behind.
Well, all that Fancy Lads have to do right now is push and try to end the game as fast as possible, get as many kills, and set themselves ahead of the enemy. Even though the RTK have anti-mage, if the rating is gonna get enough farm and damage, the mana burn won't matter.
Yep. And wow, Haster and Nevdi brings down Lion as well. They're starting to snowball out of control. They've got a 3k XP lead, I do believe, when I check. Yep, over 3k and over 5k in team net worth. They're getting so far ahead. They're getting so many towers. RTK, anti-mage, a hero that relies on having map control and space to farm. But Fancy Lads are just forcing out the towers and denying all that space for anti-mage to get his precious items that he needs to become effective. So I think this early game aggression against a lineup such as RTK's is really the best idea, and it's paying off really well. The use of Exorcism has taken down the top tower, the mid and bot towers, I believe. And
I just think that Timbersaw should have TP'd mid earlier so he could defend the tower, because everything that they let RTK get is gonna be a setback for them into the game.
And now there's a huge clash mid. Jimmy did use the Chronosphere, but got lifted by 4's Yule Scepter in the process, so he was basically useless. And now Midnight gets stunned up, will get hit by the Vengeful Spirit Missile as well.
Not enough mana.
And Ice Path and now drops.
He had not enough mana for his ultimate, so he couldn't kill the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh man, 8-10 right now. What was the score at the start? I believe RTK were up by a couple of skills. Yeah, was it 4-1? RTK were ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like 5 minutes ago, we were looking at the gold graph and we were seeing RTK ahead with like 500, 700 gold. But now it's just 5,000 gold in favor of Fancy Lads.
Oh man, it's all those towers, and the gold that it gives to everyone in your team gives such a huge lead on that team net worth graph.
Well, they right now they should not mind the anti-mage and hurry get to the tower, because anti-mage is not gonna be able to fight against the Death Prophet until he has his Manta.
Yeah, that's true, and I think that's exactly what he's going for. He's headed bot. Doesn't look like he has any intentions of coming back to defend, especially with Exorcism now being used now. And Nuggles actually jumps ahead, stuns Midnight, who's getting body blocked by his own creeps. He does have ulti though. He probably could have gone for that kill. Do you think they're going to go for more now?
Yeah, that's what they should do actually. But the problem is that Raking is still not level 11, and he only has level 1 in his reincarnation, which has a 260 seconds cooldown.
It is absolutely insane, that cooldown. I think that's close to the biggest in the game.
They should actually get back and defend the boss tower, although it has pretty much HP. Not to let the anti-mage farm and get some experience and the money right there.
Just starve him as much as possible.
Yes, they should control the Radiant jungle.
Yeah, I think they've got the wards in it, so they know exactly what's going on. But they can't spot out the anti-mage right now, but when he goes to farm this camp, they will. And now they've got vision of him.
Magnus is farming up the stacks. Only the double stack, unfortunately, which was here.
And maybe Empower could just be the farming tool that anti-mage needs then, instead of going for that Battle Fury.
Well, he's pretty close to it, so he's probably gonna get it anyway.
So you think that they're just saving it for Jimmy, who's got it, the buff on him right now in mid, but also to help out with that RP Chrono combination?
I think he wants to get level 11 before he goes in, but they're probably gonna need to take any pickup at any point if they can.
Did Faceless Void go for the Mask of Madness this game? Yeah, he did. He did. So that's going to increase his DPS by quite a bit.
Indeed. If he got an Aghanim, then they could get into the game pretty easily with the 60 seconds cooldown on the Chronosphere, getting any kills at any time. But we're looking at the Death Prophet now, and she has a BKB, which is gonna allow her to escape the most of the damage that the RTK provide.
Then again though, three of the 5 ultimates do go through BKB, so they can easily whiff the duration of Death Prophet's BKB charges if they need to.
Well, I doubt RTK have the damage to kill her if they don't have magical damage to do it.
This is just not looking good for RTK at all.
Indeed, although the game started laning phase was in their favor. They're falling back.
But yeah, they've definitely got the comeback potential from their lineup. If Fancy Lads gets a little bit ahead of themselves, they've got RP and Chronosphere to follow up on anything. But I don't really see... like, they picked up Faceless Void and they picked up Anti-Mage, but during the Chronosphere duration, unless they're caught on the edge of the Chrono, Anti-Mage is basically going to be useless, or he's going to be trying to attack people outside of it, which I don't think is like very helpful in most cases. Normally, it was banned out, but people go for the Vipers or the Outworld Devourer or Silencer, those high right-click DPS heroes, so that during Chrono you can take down a few units. But Anti-Mage can't do that as he's a melee.
Well, I think the Void is there just so he can prolong the game with along with the Skyred Mage, so the Anti-Mage can get some farm and then lead into a late game.
Ah. Yeah, that actually makes sense. And now Nargles has his armlet as well, so they're just getting so far ahead in farm. Yeah, he's extremely tanky. He's got treads as well. He's got a large sum of HP at his disposal, and he's actually going to jump ahead. Yule Scepter is going to be used. The silence a little bit early though. Yeah, so the skewer is going to land, and now Midnight throwing out a couple of nukes.
Well,
trying to.
Has the ultimate.
Yep,
but
they.
It's still a level 1, 260
Oh,
seconds
it's
cooldown.
insanely long, and they're going to keep going now. Jimmy's in big trouble.
What is that? That was unfortunate because he could land a good chrono, and then Scarlet Mage could follow with his ultimate. Midnight was a little far though.
Is it worthwhile Anti-Mage not being here? Like, how is his farm going while his team's dying?
If they're gonna get the tower, it's not gonna be worth at all, even if he gets the payback with the bot tier 1.
It's not looking good. They do fortify, so Anti-Mage is going to be slowed down a little bit.
BKB prematurely, I mean, she used it pretty late, and she let the tower attack her, and it did succeed in killing her.
And Death Prophet,
Spirit, however, is defending the bot lane.
And actually, at top lane, the RP on 2. Garcador brings down a couple of them in, and now Nevdi's in trouble as well. Silence is up, but he does.
Suicide, though.
Yeah, he does suicide with that Bloodstone, and meanwhile, Muha, trying to actually pursue Johnny Hitler, does use the ultimate to cancel that TP channeling, and should pick up this kill. Bit of a mistake. Death Prophet was just walking around here at the racks down bot, and he was just tanking the tower, and then just died to the Radiant.
She has a little amount of armor, but still, if they get to do this again, they're gonna get the Rex no matter what, as long as Anti-Mage is not gonna have the Manta style, and he's even going for a Blast, which will make it take longer for the Manta.
Well, they do have a couple of melee heroes. All their cores are actually, in fact. Faceless Void will get lifesteal, but he already has a Mask of Madness, so it's not insanely helpful. Magnus does use it okay, but he's not really a traditional right-clicker. He's more of the shockwave damage dealer, and now they're just going to go for Roche. They've got the aura up from Wraith King, so they can definitely go for this. They've also got armor reduction from Vengeful Spirit, so it shouldn't be insanely slow, but Nargles may be in trouble of actually dying to Roche, unless the armlet toggles correctly. Got so close to death there.
I'm really sorry I had some some technical difficulties.
Oh, it's alright.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just speaking about their Roshan attempt and how they have the lineup to kind of go for it with the Vengeful Spirit and the Wraith King, but they're going to back off. They only had 3 heroes in the pit the whole time. Maybe they needed to commit an exorcism just for it so that they could get in time. And it looks like Magnus is prompting towards a Shiva's Guard this game.
I think he should have actually went for a BKB since that Prophet has the silence. But what I wanted to say before is that once Timbersaw gets his Aghanim Scepter, Anti-Mage is going to be in real trouble. Even with Manta, he's not going to be able to do any damage or stand in the fight.
That's actually true. They got to look out for that, and it looks like they're going to come back into this fight They've got the abilities for it. Jimmy actually jumps in, gets a chrono on 2-4, actually gets the ultimate off just in time, but they're trying to burst her down. They will do so. So Exorcism wasted. Nevdi on the top of the fight is taking a lot of damage. Nargles comes back in. Skewer actually picks up Nargles on the way. Nevdi almost dead. The two supports do get picked up by the Lion Stun, and then the RP comes back onto 2. This is a ridiculously poor fight for Fancy Lads. They're having a hard time. They may just pick up 1. They actually pick up 2. Lion as well.
Actually, the Void dodged the Wraith King critical strike, which would have killed Jimmy.
And Muha gets a triple. The anti-mage who was behind now gained a triple kill, and his team won the fight, and this looks like it will be the tower as well, unless Timbersaw can slow him down enough. Wow, he actually broke the tree that he was trying to chain to.
At the start of the fight, when Jimmy used the Chronosphere, he started attacking the Wraith King. I think that would have been wrong if if he had his ultimate, but he only had the Aegis, and it got used immediately.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Wraith King. That 3 lives is extremely annoying to play against.
He had like 30 to 40 seconds on cooldown on the reincarnation.
Oh, that's so unlucky. And anti-mage is going for the Manta style this game, so this is really important, this item, I feel, against the mana-dependent heroes on Fancy Lads. Timbersaw. Death Prophet a little bit less, but Wraith King as well, very reliant to get that ultimate that costs so much. And with that Manta style, they could totally turn fights and kill heroes very quickly.
I just think Wraith King should go for a BKB just so he doesn't get mana burned right away. But he's just gonna focus on his first life and hope he doesn't die.
I think that's the way to point at it, man. I think that's the way that they should run it. The BKBs are going to be essential this game, but that's the annoying part with all those abilities that do go through BKB on RTK. But once those abilities are over, or once Wraith King gets his second life, this is if he doesn't get mana drained, then the BKB will provide just so much in the next fight. There'll be so many abilities that can't actually be focused onto him. It'll give him the space to maybe take down the anti-mage if the circumstances are correct.
The BKBs are gonna be the most important item for Fancy Lads, as long as anti-mage and Void do not deal too much physical damage. But once that happens, they will just RP them and kill them with right clicks. Even through the BKBs.
But Nargles is looking pretty tank, and actually he will jump into the fight. Does get hexed straight away though. And Jimmy, the swap actually comes from the Chronosphere, and now he's been stun locked, so he couldn't actually do anything. But the RP will come in, land on 2. Eul Scepter will keep Magnus up in the air though, so he can't actually do that. Skewer in the end does skewer 2, but will lose his life. 3 dead already. And that's Rax, I believe, bot, and maybe even Rax top, if they head up to there after.
All that paid back for the last fight, and even more because they're gonna get the barracks. There's no buybacks on any of the Radiant.
And now look at the graph. It's been going up and down, left and right.
Yeah, it did. There's not much ahead, but it's enough.
17 to 18.
That Prophet got to silence the anti-mage, but he has his Manta, so he managed to escape.
But Wraith King actually dies. Maybe he just lost the amount of mana he needed for his ultimate. Lion does die as well, but anti-mage in the back of the fight. Silenced up, can't actually blink away. And almost gets...
The Wraith King ult was spent the first fight.
Ah, that's probably why. Both teams just really poking at each other, but no one's really dying just of now. And it looks like Jimmy, he has...
pretty close to BKB. No version, no lucky version.
Oh man, that is unlucky. That is extremely unlucky.
They got the lane of Rax. The top lane is as well open. They're gonna have to hurry pretty much. Yukiro has his Eul Scepter already, which is a pretty good time for a support.
It's been insanely strong, that Eul Scepter, through all the fights. Soon as, if you're not caught in the RP, Magnus is, without a BKB, going to have so much time trying to skewer the enemy heroes, because he's just going to constantly get lifted. And same with Jimmy. During Chronosphere, he can't get anything done, because he's either getting Ice Pathed, swapped, stunned, or Eul Sceptered.
I'm still waiting for a BKB onto the Timber, so because he's gonna get hexed and silenced if he doesn't get one, and he really needs to be into those fights, use duels onto anti-mage, and make sure he doesn't do very much.
Mm. Yeah, the BKBs look essential in this game, but for some reason it's showing a hint of greed, the fact that they're not really going for it just of now. The Shiva's Guard was picked up on Magnus, I believe. He did finish that one off. I don't think that's worthwhile. I think the physical damage from Fancy Lads isn't really from attack speed. From the Wraith King, yes, but from the Death Prophet, it's her ultimate. And the armor's nice, but the AoE movement slow and attack speed slow is only really helpful against one hero.
Indeed. That was probably more for the movement slow and AoE control, but I personally disagree with that item choice.
But that's even if he can actually get the Shiva's Guard off. Like, he may even get Yule Scepted before he can even skewer, or even pop it after the initial RP.
I think he needed a BKB just to make sure he doesn't get silenced or stunned before he uses his RP. Because afterwards, it doesn't matter for him.
See, look, if he had a BKB right now, he could probably save his own life.
Well, Magnus actually escaping with really low HP.
Yeah, but he's fine, and now Chronosphere.
Here as a swap, but he didn't manage to save the Timber, so there. The Prophet might actually escape here. Yes, he did. Void is going down. Now, Anti-Mage is coming back in. He's hoping to get some kills here, or at least defend. He does have buyback as well this time.
And now there's so many things going on across the map. Nargles does die. Not enough mana burned, though, to stop him from using ultimate. Meanwhile, the Magnus actually does use RP. Caught a couple and skewered them down, but it's just not enough. 2 dead at the moment. Lion does pop the ultimate. And Nargles is extremely low, but they look like they have done a successful job at base defense.
Well, indeed, they did. And Lion only had a level 1 ultimate. If he was 11, he could probably kill Wraith King, because he was also having the Skywrath Mage silence, which amplifies the magical damage by 45%.
Oh man, that's just so much damage from the Lion ulti. Do you know what would be extremely overpowered, I reckon, if you got Lina with an Aghanim Scepter, so of course that makes it pure damage, which is insanely good. And then you get Warlock on your team as well, and you get him to Fatal Bonds all 5 heroes on the enemy team, and then you get Skywrath Mage to silence just one of them, and then Lina. Oh no.
Actually, the pure damage
doesn't it's pure, not magical. That was a little bit of a dumb moment.
Zeus would work pretty well.
Yeah, with Zeus as well. Zeus would be insane because it hits all of them, and then 25% is reflected to everyone else. So that's like 400% or something like that, 500%, I don't know. That is really scary to think about.
Well, we're looking at Skywrath Mage, Rodavator's coming to him. It's gonna help him get a little more fight control and get him done with his ults.
And both teams kind of look confused at what they're doing. Then they, like, Timbersaw's just walking around with the Invis rune, not really deciding on what he wants to do, but maybe he knows now. He's going to go in on Magnus, who does have Skewer, I believe, if he wants to escape. Though. He does get swapped and actually doesn't skewer far enough to get to the low ground.
I think it actually was the maximum skewer range.
But because of the swap, it must have stopped him. I think when he was standing here, he clicked the skewer here, and then when he got pulled back to there, it pulled him the full distance that he could, only to there.
Yeah. Well, Anti-Mage went for a right item build, I would say rather BKB rather than a heart, just due to the Timbersaw chakrams.
And I'm surprised they haven't gotten the top racks yet. Magnus actually buys back and is TPing into the fight. Jimmy goes in, tries to get the Chronosphere off, actually waits a moment, catches 2, no.
The BKB lets him go through the ice pad. And the Prophet has to run off with her ult.
And now Jimmy trying to do what he can, but he's getting stun locked. He's got no BKB to help him out. And now the Shiva's Guard proving to be of some sort of use as Magnus fights it up against the Jakiro. And now Death Prophet's in trouble.
She came back into the fight, no bashes. Oh, she was a bit unlucky, but Void already hit her like 3 or 4 times, so she backed in.
I think that was a questionable Yule Scepter there. But actually, they're going to go back in. Nevzy's going to drop 2. 4 down, and no one actually dies for RTK. But did you see what happened? Anti-Mage was BKB though, so I can see the reasoning in that, but
Yeah, that's why it
Oh no,
is
no,
hard this game.
oh no, he wasn't actually. No one was BKB'd. Anti-Mage was. No, Anti-Mage wasn't, sorry. And Faceless wasn't either. He had it, but he hadn't had it on when they were chasing, and what happened was Death Prophet Yulesed the Anti-Mage, the one without a bash, and then tried to channel the TP, leaving the Faceless Void who has a natural bash to obviously cancel. And if she'd done it the other way, maybe she could have escaped.
I'm not sure if Anti-Mage did have his ult at that point.
Yeah, so I think it was something that could have been attempted, but she lifted the one without the bash and gets punished for it.
Well, I think that the Dead Prophet should have just went away, because she escaped at the first time. She went to the top lane and got up, and then she just went back to the fight and died right here.
Oh yeah, true that, yep. Running back up, and that's where she dropped. And now they're going to go for Roshan again. Hopefully Nargles doesn't die, excuse me, extremely early and waste that precious 3 lives.
Well, if he doesn't have a BKB, I don't know if he gets to have 3 lives or just 2 with the ages.
And they smoked up as well, so RTK don't have a clue. They don't look like they're going to come in, and even if they do, they're already too late.
They don't have any wards there anyway.
So it's going to be an Aegis on the Wraith King, and now RTK is suddenly scrambling. They're saying, hey, they took Roche. All the enemy heroes must be within this vicinity.
I still think that Rating should have went for BKB over the Salkiras.
Yeah, I don't think that's the problem there. Of course, it does amplify the physical damage of himself and Death Prophet, so there is a bit of a bonus there, but at the same time, if he dies really quickly because of the BKB, he might not even be able to get that much done during the fight anyway. And they're actually being pursued just behind.
Well, besides Anti-Mage and the Faceless Void, they don't really have any physical damage to bring Raid King down.
And what's Anti-Mage's farm looking like right now?
Well, he's on top of everyone with almost 10k over the Dead Prophet.
So he's actually caught up quite well, and looks like the fight's going to be initiated. Nargles jumps in, gets all his mana drained instantly, will actually drop, but the Aegis, of course. Yeah, so his ultis are going to be cancelled yet. Beautiful Yule Scepter will hold Death Prophet out during the Chronosphere. Blackheart sends herself in and takes Death Prophet out, and unfortunately uses her life for it. And now another Yule Scepter being used on Anti-Mage. The RP on 3, can we get a Anti-Mage ultimate onto all of them? No, we will not. Lion uses the Earth Spike. Void buys back, and now they want to finish off this pesky Jakiro. That's going to be a team wipe.
Well, and RTK only played with the life of the ranged Rex, which is not so important. And that fight, Raking didn't even get to use his ultimate because Anti-Mage left his illusions to attack him after he respawned from the Aegis.
This game has been so forward and back the whole time. Take a look at the graphs as well. Now it's moving up towards RTK's favour. XP earned over 12k, and looking at team net worth, it's now hit over the 0 mark and is trailing towards 5k, seeing it around 4.5.
I'm not sure how Scarlet Mage died, killed by the... Oh, the creeps did kill him.
So he died to the Radiant. Oh, he died to the Dire, sorry.
Yeah.
And now they're just going to go straight in for the racks. They force out the Glyph. Nargles TP's in.
Chronosphere though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the appropriate time. Do you think that they can just keep farming and get this Anti-Mage out of control for the next fight? And FL, at the moment, they don't look like they've got the items or the farm to contest an Anti-Mage at around 40 minutes.
I don't think they want to contest the Anti-Mage. They just want to go and get the Mega Creeps, because currently they only have the Super Creeps.
And they could probably do it, hopefully, during that time bracket where all the big ultimates for RTK are on cooldown, and then they can brute force those racks. And unfortunately...
Well, that time is pretty much gone. Void has 1 second cooldown on Chronosphere, and Magnus has RP ready.
So it looks like it's going to be tough for them to breach the base without risking their lives. And they're smoked up. They're not finding anything just yet. Everyone's sitting in their base for RTK, knowing that obviously they're going to be coming from somewhere.
And even if they wanted to go in right then, Death Prophet didn't have her ultimate, it just went off cooldown now. I think somebody should sneak in and get the tier 3 onto mid. It's like 48 health.
Yeah, it's extremely low. I think they could take it down with a couple of like illusions or something as well, or yeah, Timbersaw's illusions he could probably send in there once the crit wave pushes.
Radiant aren't willing to deny it because it would leave their barracks exposed.
Yeah, you always want to keep that up, the tier 3s. But it might even drop anyway. The creeps are just coming in.
Yes. Yeah, the cardio catapult is gonna kill it.
Boom shakalaka. And the courier. They picked up the courier that was 6k cargo worth.
Anti-Mage had butterfly in the courier.
The whole butterfly.
Yeah, that's gonna cost the fight maybe. He doesn't even have the buyback right now.
That's gonna be so clutch against Death Prophet's ulti and Nargles. I can't believe that actually happened. How long's it down for? How long's the courier dead for? A couple of minutes?
They should push right now before Anti-Mage gets his item.
Oh yeah, this is the window.
Yes.
But we looked at that last fight and RTK still came out ahead even without the butterfly, so there's still the possibility of a winning fight if they execute correctly. But it's going to be annoying with this bot lane pushed in so far. They've got multiple things they have to manage.
They aren't gonna have the void buyback this time.
Well, they've already gone in.
Yeah, they got that profit down. They can't even push anymore.
And top as well. Nargle's losing mana, and thus losing his life to dead. And actually, Jimmy wants to keep going for the Jakiro. Yule scepters him up and TPs. That was a bad idea, son. You probably should have kept on running. Double kill for the Magnus. And see, they're defending their base even without that butterfly. And the courier's going to be back in a minute and a half. This is looking not so bright for Fancy Lads right now. They may even risk being eliminated from the tournament.
Indeed, but the RTK did so not long ago. Well, I think that soloing on the rating isn't so useful anymore because the mana cost for the reincarnation is 160, not 140 as it used to be.
And actually, the RP is going to be costed.
There's no Chronosphere. Vengeful Spirit is gonna escape, but Timber will manage to kill Magnus. He can actually escape.
Wow, he chains back up and he's alright. Death Prophet comes in, probably wants to chase down Jimmy. Gets the Yule Scepter up. And the Silence too, beautifully timed.
Actually, he's gonna be KB.
Oh, the clutch swap.
He cancelled the big KB. He cancelled the TP with the swap.
Really well played there, and the Shivas will give vision of Jimmy.
Gonna give vision.
Well played there by Blackheart on the support Vengeful Spirit.
I have a haste rune here. Well, they do have the window now. Void has a longer time respawn due to the previous buyback, and Magnus, I'm not sure. Yes, Magnus does have buyback. They should still make it come up.
Maybe they just want to force it out, or even better, force it and keep pushing if they feel confident enough. But at this stage, I don't think they should. But then again, Anti-Mage's Butterfly is now up.
Yeah.
What perfect timing. As soon as the fight comes, Anti-Mage has his next big item. Glyph's going to be popped quite early, so that gives time for the heroes to back on in. And Magnus finally, a little bit of a late buyback actually.
He still doesn't have RP, so he's just gonna have to go in. I don't think he should have fought back right there. Well,
Muhar actually initiates himself, jumps onto the Wraith King and drains all of his mana and then finishes him off. And now Lion jumps into the backline's beautiful Yule Scepter will stop him from dying.
That Prophet barely survived there with the Yule Scepter.
And she actually got force-stuffed by someone dodging the shockwave coming out from Magnus. Now Magnus comes in, beautiful. RP on 2, but they're standing inside Macropire. The stun's going to land on 3. And now they want to go for Vengeful Spirit. She's jumped in too far. She gets slowed up. Hexed as well.
She
This
wanted
is
to get revenge on Lion.
not looking good at all.
The problem is that Fancy Lads weren't decided what they were going for. Like Raid King and some of the others were pinging on the melee Rex, and so the Lion, the Vengeful Spirit and the Jakiro were attacking the melee Rex, while the Dead Prophet and the Timber were attacking the ranged Rex.
Oh, they
So
really need to
not
work
well.
out their priorities and their objectives.
Yes, but right now Anti-Mage has almost 6k gold.
He's
He could
extremely
buy a
rich.
heart right now, or he could buy Abyssal Blade. Actually, not Abyssal Blade, just the Basher.
I think
And
in this
also have the
game,
buyback.
the Vlad's isn't worth keeping. I just don't feel that it is. I think he can already do a lot more with an upgrade from that Vladimir's offering. I think you could definitely
Yeah,
sell that and go for an
he's gonna
Abyssal or
drop it
something.
now. He's gonna drop it now. They used some of their stuff onto the illusion.
And now it's going to be the battle for Roshan.
Yeah, no big cooldown.
Wraith King finishes his Assault Cuirass. Do you think that's going to be helpful?
Well, he actually had it for the last fight too, so and it didn't do that much. Nargos actually blinked in when Roshan was leaving the pit for the anti-mage to go kill him, and he left while Roshan was entering, and he didn't notice that Roshan is respawned.
Wow. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
And now Nevdi's walking in to see if
They're
Anti-Mage
just
is
taking
still
it
there.
in now. Well, Timbersaw is getting a second Shivas, which I think is not the best call for them.
Is he
He
getting a
just got
second
executed.
Shivas?
Yeah, like the slow is not gonna have effect if it is already used.
So wait, if you pop the
attack slow
Shivas, does
era.
that put both of your Shivas on cooldown?
Well, no, it's the Death Prophet has the other Shiva, so. it
Ah,
doesn't
I
matter.
thought you meant Nevdi was building a second Shiva's guard, as in
No, a
he
second
had
for the
two.
Death Prophet has one as well.
Ah,
I
so
think
it's
it's the bottom BKB, or even a Blink Dagger would have been good even now.
yeah. You could still go for a BKB at this stage. I think getting a BKB up. It sounds like a safe choice, but in this choice, it's definitely the priority if you want to stay alive in these fights. And Nargles especially dying in every fight due to the Manta style initiation from Anti-Mage. He just loses all of his mana in a matter of a second, and he gets hit extra hard when he gets mana drained, so it's proving to be a real problem for him. Without Empower on top as well, the damage is actually cleaving everyone around him.
Indeed. And also having a Battle Fury.
And the Battle Fury, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I think that Fancy Lads still are ahead of the game, because even if they lose a fight, they don't lose the game. But if RTK lose the fight, they lose the game immediately.
So you think they can still take some risks?
Well, it depends. If their cores don't die, they mostly can do it.
Mm.
Especially Anti-Mage.
Well,
And there's the Anti-Mage Basher. He still has 5k into the bank, and he can buy back if he wishes to.
Well, both
He's
teams
gonna
looking a
sell
little bit
his-
hesitant at the moment. No one's really committing to a fight at the moment. They're kind of just sitting back and expecting each other to kind of just suddenly meet up, or maybe they're expecting RTK to want to initiate with their big ultis first. And I think the team that initiates is the team that's going to be in a bit of trouble, in a sense. I think
Well,
the
they're
counter
seeing-
aggression is really high on both teams.
Well, while they were seeing Anti-Mage on the bot lane, they should have went and baited with Raid King and wait for the enemy to use their ultimates in. But Anti-Mage has Travel Boot, so he can just TP into the fight at any time right now.
You're right, man, and he's come on in, and it looks like we're going to see the do or die. What kind of seems like it'll be the deciding factor to this game, this top lane push. If they win the fight, of course, Fancy Lads will get 3 racks most likely. Maybe if we look at the buyback status, actually, that could... Here we go, buyback status. So, looking for RTK, there's no buybacks at all.
Yes, there's Anti-Mage.
Is there Anti-Mage? Oh, no, sorry. No, I mean Fancy Lads, there's no buybacks.
Well, there's a Dead Prophet, but she can TP back into the fight. And she's useless without her ultimate.
And actually, Ice Path's
Raid
going
King
to land on 2. Chains through, but actually loses all of his mana. Tries to get another RP
He
off.
still has cheese. He's gonna get used to the cheese. No, he's gonna get bashed and killed. Anti-Mage still didn't die, but he has the buyback. Now he's dropping.
And he's got those travel boots as well, so he can come back into the fight. So he buys back. Nargles gets a double kill. Anti-Mage just heads back to defending. And the racks are almost dropping mid. And of course those ranged barracks don't actually heal in any way.
No.
This is really looking grim at the moment. If they worked better on their tower defense, and if they somehow won earlier fights and they didn't lose these racks, I think RTK would be in a really high position of winning. But the only thing that's keeping him out of winning this game, their anti-mage is getting extremely farmed and extremely undealable almost. But he did die in that last fight, surprisingly.
Yeah, he bought back.
And he bought back in.
He's gonna set him back a bit, and he's actually not far from full build, and I don't know what he can do afterwards. Once he gets full build, what does he do?
I don't really know. I was thinking that maybe a heart this game would have been of higher priority than an Abyssal, because I think he's already got the DPS behind him, but the fact is he just dies very quickly.
Well, I don't think he can keep up with following that Prophet around, so he needs the Basher. But I don't think he can drop his BKB. He might sell his Manta Style to get a Hex, maybe, or the Dead Prophet, but I'm not sure how good that would be because he would get silenced. Even though he has the BKB, it's just a 5 seconds BKB.
And they've got a lot of stuns though as well to hold the anti-mage if he does jump onto that Death Prophet with a Hex.
Well, if Timbersaw got to use the cheese that last fight, it would have went a lot better for Fancy Lads. But now we see the BKB being picked up by the Raid King, and it's gonna be at full time BKB 10 seconds.
Oh wow. That's going to be extremely important in the next fight.
Yes.
10 seconds at 50 minutes in without being affected by magic is like heaven in a game like this.
It is pretty good that he managed not to get a BKB to get its charges off until now, but they could have probably won earlier if he had a BKB.
Yeah, that was the problem in every fight. He went for greedier items, that Assault Cuirass in the fights earlier at around mid, and up in this area he would die so quickly. He has the Assault Cuirass, but it wasn't really helping that much. And he actually BKBs quite early.
BKB. He's gonna go for the Skyrat Mage.
Yeah, he is, but up in the Chronosphere, Jimmy takes down the Death Prophet nice and early, and now Nargle's being pursued.
Anti-Mage is not gonna break enough mana for him to get his ult off.
So he does get his ultimate off, but of course he's getting absolutely stun locked.
Well, they're gonna kill Faceless Void and trade Death Prophet and Raid King.
And now the RP is going to come out on Nevdi, bring him down into the Skywrath ultimate and an Earth Spike. Beautiful little combo there. He gets blown up, and now they're going for the Skywrath Mage. Can they also get the Jakiro? Unfortunately, they do not have the vision. And they're pinging the mid lane. They're saying, this is where we got to go. This direction here, but of course their tier 4s are in jeopardy. The bot lane is pushing so hard, and the waves are just getting bigger.
Indeed, but the problem is that...
Anti-Mage is coming top. He's coming mid.
That was a bad execution for Fancy Lads. Rating just went in Pulse Dip into the Anti-Mage and the rest of the team. Void used the 4-man Chrono, which let them kill the Raid King really fast.
This is looking really grim, man. He's killed the Jakiro twice. It's almost a dieback. It's getting close to one.
The 4-staff. He's left for the 4-staff.
But I think Anti-Mage should be prioritizing the racks first before the creeps die.
He got the melee racks. He could actually go for bottom, but I don't know if he can tank the tower without the heart. The Prophet still has Exorcism. Anti-Mage got Manta off cooldown now. And they're gonna be happy with everything they get. They're slowly going back into the game.
That's the slow siege. Their lineup was designed more for this stage of the game. They've got the abilities in the late game, and if they get a good RP off, Anti-Mage with that Battle Fury and Mana Void can get rampages and insane amounts of kills very, very easily. And this is like the time where they thrive the most, whereas Fancy Lads, their heroes kind of fall off a little bit. Wraith King is a strong carry, but doesn't compare to an Anti-Mage in this kind of game, as being a mana-dependent hero. Death Prophet does scale okay, but she's not really that tank. She doesn't have a heart or anything, and she's not very I don't really know how to describe it, but she's not as scary as she was within the first 20 minutes. They tried to push as much as they could, and now the time's come where they just can't do it as easily.
Well, her ultimate doesn't get any better, so she's just gonna be weaker and weaker every fight. But I think that if the rating had like an MKB or an Abyssal Blade, he could keep up with the Anti-Mage in fighting him 1v1 with the crits.
Yeah, if he gets lucky with a couple of crits, maybe he could survive.
Yeah.
But then again, Anti-Mage does have a Manta, so I still worry for Wraith King's ability to man mode an Anti-Mage at this stage of the game.
Well, last fight he was actually focused by 4 heroes. Even though he had 4 lives, he didn't get to bring any of them off. Lion has a Blink Dagger and a 4-step. Scarlet actually is looking for an Agony Scepter, and I think he has the money, but he wants to keep the buyback.
I think buyback's more important at this stage. You don't want to pick up an item that's not going to be useful as 2 lives.
Yes.
And now they're actually camping around Roshan, but the timer hasn't actually quite finished. It's still got a little bit left to go.
I think that's about 1 or 2 minutes.
It's around there.
Well, Void is farming out a little. They do have the wards though. They are aware of them being there, and he's actually stuck, but he's gonna TP out. If they hurried a bit, Vengeful Spirit could swap him with the 4-staff, getting closer. Well, a pickup on Anti-Mage would be crucial right now, even if he has the buyback in 15 seconds.
They could actually, but the problem is they're staying so close together, RTK, except for the Faceless Void, Jimmy, who's just sitting at the top lane. But other than that, if you look at the mid, they're all within walking distance of each other, so it's hard to get a pick off on a hero that's by themselves. But with that said, Anti-Mage does have BKB and TP if he wanted to get out, and I don't think they've got any abilities that go through BKB. I don't think that Wraith King has a basher or anything like that to stop Anti-Mage from getting away if they found a gank on him. Actually, oh no, he hasn't got the Abyssal, that's Anti-Mage.
Well, they do have the swap if he wants to BKB TP.
So they've got one method, but then they have to deal with all the constant blinks. But that can actually be dealt with the Yule Scepters that they've got.
Well, Timbersaw still has the cheese from the previous Roshan, and there's the current Roshan up right now, and they're gonna go for him.
Who do you think the Aegis and cheese is going to be given to? And there's actually a DD as well. It's going to be a very quick Rosh.
Well, probably the rating is dropping the Soul Ring to get the Aegis, and the cheese might be going to the Dead Prophet. If she but she would have to drop her TPs. So, what do you think Fencelets need to do to get accomplished what they want?
Well, at this stage of the game, when you know that the enemy team is superior in terms of fighting power and in terms of team fight control and in terms of carrying, and you know that if they come to you, you're going to have trouble fighting against them, you'd normally turn to a split pushing style, but the problem is they don't have the lineup for that either, so there's no real plan B in that regard. Anti-Mage does have travels as well, so he can be in and out almost anywhere around the map. So for Fancy Lads, it's really tough to determine what what kind of game plan would be. I'd assume that they just farm up their buybacks, get BKBs where necessary, and pick up the items that are actually going to keep them alive in the fights, and hope for the best. Maybe try to focus all their Yule Scepters onto the Anti-Mage after he BKBs, keep him out of the fight for as long as possible, and try to focus down the other supports during that time, and even the Magnus, and then they can deal with him after. But that's a very risky and hard thing to accomplish, because Anti-Mage could probably do a lot of damage to all 5 of them, even if his team got killed with that Battle Fury and Empower.
Well, even if Fancy Lads do have buybacks, they do not have travel boosts to go back into the fight. And right now, they're going into a double RP, and I don't think they're aware of that.
And it looks like they're going to use that right now. They're not going to pop the RP, but the swap's going to come through. Blackheart also sacrificing herself. Corrido, the line sitting a bit too far forward, gets critted down straight away by Nuggles.
The Prophet should use the cheese, but I don't know.
RP's going to land on 2. The second RP as well. Skewers 3 on the first time and hasn't skewered the second time. Does bring 2 out of the fight. A little bit questionable. What's going on here? Anti-Mage actually buys back. Nargles is in trouble. He's going to drop. He does have the Aegis though, in that fact. But can they bring him down?
Well,
which I think should not be very hard. So what happened there? Let's take a look at the fight recap. So there was 3 buybacks for RTK during that fight. Many ultimates expended. And the refresher on Magnus for that double ulti. Tons of BKBs too. But still, Fancy Lads falling behind. They lose 4. 3 buyback for RTK, but that's not a problem. Anti-Mage is rich as ever.
Well, there's another... the tier 3 on the dire side bottom is almost gone as well.
And Anti-Mage actually is going to man mode.
Actually gonna attempt to kill Anti-Mage. There's no RP.
But there is Skewer as well. He can escape if he needs to. And that's exactly what he'll do. So he tries to get out.
Magnus will have to die for Anti-Mage to survive, yes.
He gets stunned up and then he drops. Meanwhile, the supports are trying to defend the bot lane with that never-ending wave of creeps coming their way. And here's more of them as well.
Well, fortunately for RTK, Magnus does have a buyback, so they can't get the barracks. Although he doesn't have the refresher for another 100 seconds, so they could use that window. But we're looking at the Void taking up the DD. Maybe that is gonna change the fight a little, but still in the favor of RTK.
And I gotta say, man, for 60 minutes in, this Faceless Void is pretty starved. I think they've really given all the farming priorities to Anti-Mage, and that leaves, especially now with this DD, if he'd gotten more farm, maybe a Daedalus or something like that, he could have done so much.
Void has 23 assists and 2 kills only. He died 10 times. Anti-Mage has 18 kills and 3 deaths.
So I guess I can see why they actually gave the farm to him.
Yes.
And Jimmy's going to jump in. He's going to land the Chrono on 4. Skywrath Ultimate's going to be going all over Death Prophet, who actually Ghost Scepters up or something of that regard. Doesn't actually die. Jimmy drops in the process. Anti-Mage BKB's up. Gets a beautiful Mana Void on 1. Takes 1 down and does huge damage to another. And the double Sharkram now on Nevdi. The RP's going to be expended for 2. Nargle's in a little bit of trouble. Gets silenced up. Midnight about to die. Yep, the stun gets thrown. He gets away. Anti-Mage low HP, so they've got to back off away from each other. And now they're pinging up top.
Nargos still has his ultimate, but he doesn't have a TP. And as you see, Anti-Mage... Oh no, that's the Timbers are going. Anti-Mage could go right now and backdoor up.
Oh no!
Yeah.
He cancelled.
Onto the catapult.
Did he cancel or did the creep get killed?
The creep got killed.
That is...
He just should have TP'd onto the catapult.
Oh yeah, that... Something you can't stuff up, and now that means Anti-Mage can't actually go for those racks. With 3 heroes on the sidelines for a pretty long time for an Anti-Mage to push. He's got a Manta as well, so he could probably have taken a tower down fairly fast, but that is so unlucky.
Well, right now we can see that rating, which is BKB, is actually gonna able to stand in those fights. And there is the BKB for Timbersaw as well, which is gonna let him survive in those fights from all that magical damage and to do a lot more damage.
Ooh, all these BKBs. The next team fight I feel is going to be insane. Double RPs, you've got Chronospheres, you've got BKBs coming out left, right and center, and you've got an extremely farmed Anti-Mage. So everyone knows that that's just itching for an insane next team fight.
I don't know if Anti-Mage's farm is going to matter much more right now, because he doesn't seem to buy any other items.
Well, what could he do from here? Do you reckon he could sell the Battle Fury and go for something more damage-based and then just get empowered?
I actually think that he could drop the Battle Fury aside a bit and get a Hex, so he could get some solo kills. I've actually seen that in a few pro teams doing that.
But he'd have to wait a little bit. All the BKBs, he'd have to be really patient with that Hex, but that'll help him at catching so many heroes like Timbersaw and Death Prophet. Very fast, very elusive. And if he gets a couple of bashes as well, the mini bashes from the Abyssal Blade, then he could definitely get a free kill in those fights.
Void Chronosphere wasted onto the jungle of the Radiant. Jakiro just 4 stepped further and Void missed it.
Oh man, Jimmy. Can't be doing that.
They're gonna push. They're gonna take the window for 90 seconds.
Wait, what's Jimmy's
Doesn't
items?
even
What's Faceless Void's items? Bot lane? Does he have a TP? Yeah, he does. But he's taking so much damage. He needs to get back. Oh my goodness.
He actually almost died.
I know, to the creeps. He had the Mask of Madness popped, so that's increased damage.
Anti-Mage dropped his BKB for a heart. I don't think that is worth it actually.
Well, let's take a look at it now. The fight's actually begun. Anti-Mage
Yeah.
starting to take a little bit of damage. Nuggles is sitting way too far forward. He's surrounded
Well,
by Radiant
actually gonna
heroes.
die without his ult going off. They aren't gonna be able to take any barracks.
And Lion almost lands the stun, but the blink away will actually stop that from happening. Jakiro tries to TP. RP beautifully timed. Stops the Jakiro from TPing. He catches Ned. He almost dies actually to the Whirling Death. And now the Lion ultimate being used, plus the stun and Anti-Mage with his insane damage.
Anti-Mage is seriously dealing a lot of damage.
He is hitting so darn hard. Look at that, onto that.
4 steps further. And look, Skirt has an Aghanim Scepter.
But someone's got to defend bot. They could be in a little bit of trouble. 2 buybacks already. They could even just travels bot and do the old El Rat. But I think Anti-Mage would outpush them 10 times out of 10.
Well, besides Timber, nobody has travels, and that Prophet doesn't have her ultimate for another 80 seconds. I think we might be looking at a GG call.
I think we're looking at 3 racks actually. I think that's what RTK could go for. Look at how hard Anti-Mage hits. But they need the creeps in the base. They're coming in right now. So once they enter, now they'll be able to get the racks. Jimmy actually uses Chronosphere. Death Prophet dies before she can do anything, and now Nevti's being pursued. Lion uses the Finger of Death, plus all the mana drain. That's 2 dead. This is game over. I feel that it is.
I think that this game is over.
I mean, what can they do?
Apparently nothing, because none of them do have buybacks. They are gonna call GG.
And it's going to be the good game, well played. Fancy Lads looked like they were so far ahead. Wow. I can't believe that. They were so far ahead at the start, but they didn't really apply more and more pressure after the racks. The first lane of racks that they got. That's unfortunate.
Well, they should have probably kept it up right after. They shouldn't have taken any pause, so the Magnus gets his ult again up, so does the Void.
And the Refresher, and then the
well.
Anti-Mage getting insane farm. So, release the Kraken. RTK will be furthering forward through the losers bracket, fighting their way back out into the normal grand finals. And thank you very much for joining me again, DK. That was an intense game, and I'm extremely tired. I don't know about you, but I'm going straight to bed after this game. I'm absolutely stuffed. Good night to you.